I'm Bill Hepburn with Heirloom Windows, and at Heirloom Windows we have two goals. One is to build a window as close to the original as possible, your window, and the second goal is to cram as much thermal efficiency into that as possible as well. But in order to understand how and why windows look the way they do, let's start with a typical window. This is a jamb that's been built since the Civil War. Windows are amazingly standardized nowadays and have been since the Civil War. Got the interior trim, exterior trim, stops. And the important thing is, this is 5.5 inches wide, which is what your wall is, approximately. And right here is always 3 1/4 inches, which is what it's been, again, since the Civil War. And this is part of the problem we'll talk about in a minute. Here's your typical sash. 1 3/8 wide, 1/8 inch glass, 1/2 inch space for glass and putty, and then 3/8 of an inch of putty. This is the attractive part. This is what gets stained or painted. That's your molding OG or your molding profile. That's how a window's made. And this is how they go together. This is an upper sash, this is a lower sash, and they slide up and down. And again, this is the way they've been made for the last 150 years. Now, problem is, what I found when we moved into our old new house, and one of the windows identical to what we found before, what was there, but with insulated glass, we found you couldn't find them. The reason being is that insulated glass, to be worth its salt, is at least 3/4 of an inch wide, and there's just not room for all that. Where are you going to get 1.5 inches out of that 3 1/4? What are you going to compromise? Well, that's been the problem. Until Heirloom Windows came along and solved the problem. With Heirloom Windows, this is our sash. Here's the original. Here's our sash. Same 7/8 of an inch of profile on the interior. The only difference is, rather than a single piece of 1/8 inch glass, we have 2 pieces of 1/8 inch glass. The only compromise we make is that rather than being 3/8 of an inch of profile, or glazing, we have 1/4, which you can't tell from many more than a couple feet away. Even then, unless you're side by side, you really can't tell that. So, you might say, 2 pieces of glass, how does that work? Well, it's not that simple. Matter of fact, it's kind of complicated for us, but it's simple for you. Vacuum insulated glass, 1/4 inch thick, 2 pieces of 1/8 inch glass, 1/4 inch thick, separated by 0.2 millimeters, and then they vacuum the air out of it. And this piece of glass, that's only 1/4 inch thick, has more thermal efficiency than a 3/4 inch thick piece of insulated glass. And because of that, that allows us to maintain all the profiles, the shadow lines, the depth, the richness of your original windows, yet give you the performance that you're looking for. And speaking of performance, it's not just the glass. We've got to seal it too. Your window's built like this. It's probably wood on wood for a seal, for air infiltration. They may have a piece of zinc in here with a kerf, and that's okay, but not perfect. This is what we do. It's a very expensive vinyl covered foam, kerfed in, and you'll notice that it's just slightly proud on both sides. So when we put this in here, we make a seal against both stops and also against the jamb itself. And what that does is not only seal it, but it makes it super smooth in its operation. As you can see here, a window, it's a large window, we can practically operate that with one finger. You'll also notice that this is all Akoya wood. It's 50-year warranty by the manufacturer wood that we use exclusively, so we don't have to use cladding. We can make a 100% wood window, and it's going to last forever.